Welcome to Working with Pointers Part 1. Now this is going to be a two-part video, and we're just going to go into Visual C++ and actually code up some examples of using these pointers. Now if you haven't already watched a couple of videos, I want to strongly encourage you to go do that first. You really should watch, first of all, what is a pointer, then watch pointer terminology, and then watch how pointers work. Then once you've done that and you've kind of got your grasp on the terms and what's going on here and how it's thinking, now watch this video and let's step through using these pointers in code. I'm going to open Visual C++, create a new project, a Win32 project, a console application, and I am going to call this pointer example, and you will find this same project out there in your work files folder. So pointer example, then I'll hit OK. That'll open the application wizard. I'll hit next, and I'll just take an empty project and I'll leave it at console application, and here we are. Now on source files, I'll right click, add a new item. I'll add a C++ file, and we will call this point.ex. Alright, then I'll add that in, and here we go. Alright, the first thing I need to do is add an include statement for IOStream so that we can stream things out to the console. And then what I want to do is just create my int main. And now let's write some code for this. Okay, now let's start off by creating a variable. We'll just create an integer a, and we'll set it equal to 5, or we'll initialize it equal to 5. And then let's create a pointer. Let's create int, and I'll call the pointer pnumber, PNBR, and I want to first create it not pointing to anything, so I'm going to use the null pointer command, and there we go. So now what I've done so far, I have an integer that's a variable called a, has a type of integer, and it is storing 5. Okay, then I've created a pointer called pnumber, and it's a integer type, and there's nothing in it right now. Okay, and so what I want to do now is come down here and let's just throw some stuff out there and take a look at it. Okay, so let's just do the standard cout, and to that we want to send the value stored in a is, and let's just put a. This is the way we normally use variables. And let me get my typing done. Alright, so that's just the way we normally use variables, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom and do a return 0, and let's run this and play with it, and we'll kind of build from here. So far we haven't done anything out of the ordinary except creating the pointer, and again I'm going to use my little Windows 7 trick. I'll go out to Documents, Visual Studio 10, Projects. Here's my pointer example, and in my debugs what I want, so I'm going to hold down my shift key, right click on debug, and open command window here. Alright, now if I just type pointer example, notice it's telling me the value stored in a is 5. Okay, no big news there, but that's what's in 5. Now let's make it a little more interesting. I'm going to copy this line so that you're saved the torture of watching me try to bang that thing out again, and this time we're going to look at a. Okay, the value of at a, and of course that is our address of operator is, and notice this time all I'm going to do is add the ampersand in front of that, and I'm going to do one more thing here. Okay, I am going to add std hex to tell it to put that into hex format. Alright, now if I have this right, I think I do. Okay, the do is a Southern technical term for let me look and see if this is okay, and I apologize for that, but let's go out here. We hit pointer example, and notice the value stored in a is 5, Okay? The value of ampersand A, or the address of A, is 0029FCAC. So this is the actual hex memory address of where A is stored. All right? And now what I can start to think about doing is actually storing that memory address in my pointer. And that is exactly what we'll do here. Now what I'm going to do is put another standard out here, and in front of that I am going to say P number equal ampersand A. Now obviously I'm putting the address of A, what we got right here, into my pointer that I created up here. All right, so there's the line. I'm going to put the address of A into my pointer, and let me just let's change this so that it's easy to read. P number equal ampersand A stores the address of A in VNBR. All right, and then what we'll call is we will call our standard hex here, and let me make that easy for you. And then what we will put out here is we will call P number instead of A. All right, so we've stored the address in P number, and now we're just going to print out our pointer. All right, and so I will build this one more time. We'll take a look at the example, and we can see that the value in our pointer 032F920 is the same as the value of the address of A. Okay, notice I got a different address this time because I ran it again. All right, so let's stop right here. Join me in part 2, and we'll continue to work through some of these pointer functionalities. Welcome to Working with Pointers Part 2. Now in Part 2 we're just going to continue right where we left off, and if you remember, in Part 1 we created an integer, we created a pointer, we looked at our integer variable, and then we looked at the address by using the address of operator, and then we actually set the address into the pointer. So the pointer is now pointing to that address. All right, well, let's go down and do some more things. What I want to do this time is take a look at using the indirection operator to actually look and see what's in the variable that the pointer is pointing to. All right, and so what's going to happen here is by putting the indirection operator in front of our pointer, that is going to return the variable, the value of the variable. Notice the value of the variable that P number is pointing to. Okay, and so what I'm going to do then is I'll take the hex stuff off of here, and I will just put my indirection operator in front, and then we will run this one and see what we get. So we'll let it compile up. There it goes. We'll come back out here. I'm going to clear everything off, and then we'll just run pointer example again. And now notice, let's step through this. Let me get this up here where we can see it. All right, the first thing that's happening here is we're first reading the value stored in our variable, which is A right there. It's pretty straight up. The value stored is A. Then the value of our ampersand A, or address of A, is here. Notice we got a different value this time. Again, every time we run it, it goes into a different memory location. And there that is right there. Okay, bring that back up. Then we loaded that address into P number. Okay, and there it is. So we can see that P number, or a pointer, now has the same address as the address of our A variable. And then by putting the asterisk in front of this and doing indirection, which by the way, I'll do a separate video about all these different uses of the asterisk. And anyway, notice that P number returns the value of the variable that the pointer is pointing to, and that is 5. Okay, so you can see how we're using a variable pointer here to actually point to a variable. We've seen the address and then we've seen the value. Now let's do something with that. Let's use our indirection, and let's look at the value of our variable, and let's just add 5 to that. All right. So notice we're changing A through the pointer here. It's exactly what we're doing right here. This is pointing to A, and by using indirection it says, okay, I want to indirectly grab A's value and make a change to it. All right, I don't want to do the address, I want to do the value that you find at that address. All right, and so what I will do here is just simply grab, let me copy, now I'll just do it, standard cout, and we'll just give ourselves a note here that this will add 5 to the value of the variable that we are pointing to. All right, and then what we will send to that is our actual P number. Then we'll do std inline. Okay, and then you know what, I will do A here to show that we did change that. So let's go here. Don't you love live demos where the instructor talks to himself while he's teaching you? Okay, and so now you will notice that I need to run my pointer example. So I'll go grab that, and notice what's happening here. Pointer plus 5 will add to the value that we're pointing to, and that is A. And so what I'm going to have to do is come back here and tell it that to put that back into decimal because I've been messing with it. Don't worry about that. We will get into that a little bit later on. We'll compile again, do it one more time, and if your instructor can remember everything this time, whoop, and I closed my window. So I'll have to use my little trick. Go back out here, go to Visual Studio 2010, go into Projects, my pointer example, right click on Debug, open the command window, and call pointer example. Now notice, by converting that back to decimal, or telling it to report that as a decimal right there, let me get this where we can see it. How about if I just make it go away? And I pull this down, scroll up so that we can see what we ran. Notice that P number plus equals 5 adds 5 to the value of the variable. And now if we look at A and we show it in a decimal format, we have added 5 to A. Indirectly, we've done it via the pointer. Okay, so this is a little clunky, it's a little confusing. Go through it, write this code, go over it and over it and over it, change the code, do some different things with it, but get your head around how the pointers are working, how you can access various pieces of data, and how you can use it to make some magic happen.